begin to understand, oh, now I understand how these play into time to charge, how they play into cost to charge. There are formulas we can figure out. We don't get into formulas with customers, but it's good to know how it works behind the scenes. So let's start talking about electricity. We know that electricity is a cool function, but we can't see it, can we? So I can't really ask you to visualize, but I'm going to use water and a water pipe as an analogy. So let's talk about volts first. Volts is electric pressure, right? It's the force of the current as it works its way across that circuit. So let's use a garden hose. You've got a 1-inch garden hose. You've got it connected to the spigot. You've got it open up halfway, all right? Do you have any pressure coming out to the end? Mm-hmm. You do, because you can see water coming out. If I want more pressure, what do? Open the spigot all the way. My volume of water hasn't changed, but the pressure of the water running through there certainly has picked up, and you can feel it at the end. So pressure is going to be like a bigger voltage, which means you're going to have more of a jolt on the end of that circuit. Right? How about amps? Amps measures the flow of that electric pressure. Let's go back to our 1-inch hose. We've got it hooked up. We've got it open up all the way. Are we getting flow through there? We are. What if I want more flow? Can I do it? Bigger hose, there you go, bigger diameter. If I've got bigger diameter, I've got more room for more water to flow through. So we're going to have more pressure, we're going to have more flow. With electricity, how do I get more flow? I increase the thickness of the gauge. The thicker the wire, more electricity can flow. Makes sense, right? Let's put those together. What is wattage? It is the byproduct of volts and amps. So the formula is volts times amps equals watts. But when you start getting your answer in thousands of watts, what's a better way to refer to that? Kilowatts. There you go. That's the energy we've created now with electricity. So now we actually want to access that electricity, and there are two currents available to do that. You've heard of these both, correct? Alternating current, DC current. Which one are we more familiar with? DC? Well, good for you. What's in your house, though? AC. AC. Yeah, AC, DC, great band. Right. AC is in the house. It's in all of your outlets, right? It's alternating current. Why is it in our houses? Because it's going to be low voltage. The electrons go in both directions. It can go long distances without losing energy. So it's very convenient for all of us. Then there's DC current. DC current means just that, direct current. The electrons flow in one direction only. These are our two currents. What kind of current do we hold in our batteries? AC or DC? DC. I think I heard DC, right? It was like SC. DC, it's direct current. So we have kind of a challenge, don't we? Because we've got the option of AC or DC. AC is more convenient, but DC actually goes directly to our batteries. So how do we get that into our battery packs? Let's talk about the grid. First of all power starts off on the grid as alternating current. It's all AC current. But if you look at an AC charging station, you've got your grid here. It sends power to your charging station. Great. Here's your car. You've plugged into it with the cable we provide you, and the AC current flows into the vehicle. But all of a sudden, it hits kind of a yield sign because we can't put AC current in our battery packs. How do we get it in there? Converter. How do we convert it? What's the name of the converter? 3 initials. OBC. On board charger. There we go. Again, we are converting it, but the technical piece of the equipment is called onboard charger. It converts AC current to DC current, stores it in our battery pack. Let's look at the DC network. Still starts as AC. Goes from the grid into the charging station, but look at this. The charging station does all the work for you. It already converts it to DC. So now when you're plugging into it to your vehicle, now you're getting DC current flowing directly into your battery pack. It bypasses the onboard charger, so it's going to get there much more quickly and much more power. 2 ways of doing it. So we've got half the problem solved. We stored energy in our battery pack. Well, the other half of the solution is now how do we access that charge? What kind of power do our motors run on? You want to say AC, I can see it. You're all thinking, right? Alternating current, right? So now we've got to convert it from DC current in the battery packs back to AC. What piece of equipment does that for us? Inverter. Which one? Inverter, that's it, the inverter. The inverter then converts it back to AC so we can now use that power. Fantastic, you understand all that. So now we want to be able to actually go to a station and charge our vehicles. How many different levels of charging are there? 3 different levels, okay? And one of them has kind of 2 names, but we'll get to that. Let's start off with level 1 charging. Oh, come on, here we go. Level 1 charging, AC or DC? AC. And the way to tell is, if you look at the connector, that's the J1772 or the J plug connector, that's an AC connector. So now we're talking 120 volts, pretty low voltage. You've got low amperage as well, like about maybe 10 to 15 amps overall. If I wanted to charge with this, let's take a look at how this works. We got a 120 volt. Remember our formula? What was the formula to get power? Volts times amps equals power, correct? So we've got a 120 volt outlet. I'm going to randomly choose about 12 amps, which is pretty common to most households. 120 volt times 12 amps is 1440, or how many kilowatts? 1.4. Very low energy, right? Very low energy. A nice little trickle charge, but functional. When could I use this? What vehicles would this be best for? Plug-in hybrids, right? Overnight, for sure. Could I use it for an EV? You could. Remember what Matt was saying was all the needs assessment's going to find out is, listen, what's your commute? If you're commuting 5 miles back and forth to work, and if you can charge at work, yeah, level 1's going to be fine. Just top it off. If you're somebody doing 200 miles a day, this might not be the most convenient way to do it, but only a needs assessment is going to help us get there to find out which one it is, correct? So yes, you could do it. Where am I going to find level 1 mostly? In the house. What about level 2? Where am I going to find that?
Train station.
And?
Home.
And at home. Where at your home?
Garage.
At your garage, right? In your garage, perhaps in your basement, wherever you have large appliances. So here we are at level 1, right? 120 volts, we got the 1.4 kilowatts. So using that, if I go to a level 1 station, how many, whatever, what's the time frame as to how long it would take to go from low light to 100%? Give me a guess.
3 hours?
3 hours?
3 hours.
Really that long? Should I say 3 hours?
49, 30 hours.
Went from 3 to 49.
48,
That's a pretty good spread. Well, actually, 50 hours ballpark, right? Not bad. Because it's, you figure once you know your kilowatt hour capacity and you divide it by the number of kilowatts you're charging with, that pretty much gives you the time frame what it's going to take you. And 50 hours. That's why we call it trickle charge. Not the most convenient for an EV, but certainly convenient because I can do it at home. Right? So, you want more power? Let's go to level 2. AC or DC?
DC.
How many ACs? Let me get a visual here. How many DCs? All right, this is actually still AC current. This is AC, alternating current. You can tell because look at the connector. J plug is going to be an AC connection. This is at your house. Now you are going to get more power, 240 volts. You're also going to bump up your amperage quite a bit. It's going to go from like anywhere from 30 to 50 amps. So you're getting a lot more power here. As we said, you can find this in your home, like wherever you have big appliances. You can also find level 2 charging stations on the road. So much more available both on the road and at home. If I wanted to charge with this now, this puts about 20 to 40 miles of range per hour into your vehicle. So how long would it take me from low light to 100% to charge this battery on level 2?
9 hours, 20 minutes.
9 hours and 20 minutes? I love this specificity there. 9 hours and 20 minutes?
10 hours.
10 hours?
13 hours.
You guys are pretty good, like between 8 and 10 hours. And the reason we're giving you a range is because we're looking at a variety of amperages. Now here's an example of the outlet here. 240 volts. Notice I've got times 32 amps equals about 7.7 kilowatts. I specifically chose 32 amps for a reason. Can anybody give me the reason why?
Because of prime.
Because of prime, which we no longer call it prime anymore, right?
Plug-in. Sorry.
Right, pick the plug-in. Yeah, there we go. Get the nomenclature down, right? Well, think about it this way. What's the size of our onboard charger? Anybody know?
7 kilowatts.
7.6 kilowatts, exactly. That's going to limit the speed at which we can take on an AC charge. That's why I chose 32 amps, because it comes out right at about 7.6 kilowatts. That's the most we can accept right now in level 2 to charge the BZ. It doesn't mean that if your home has more amps, oh my gosh, is it too many amperage for my vehicle? No, your vehicle will step down to the appropriate amperage, but that's the most we can actually accept for level 2 charging. And that's why I know it's 7.6 kilowatts, and that's our max overall. And yes, we're getting to the 8 to 10 hours right there. Come on, work for it. There we go, 8 to 10 hours. So it's certainly a lot better because now we're talking 5 times faster, aren't we? The 7.6 kilowatts is 5 times faster than 1.4 kilowatts, and your charge time went from 50 hours to 10 hours. 5 times faster, not bad. Now, when you sell your plug-in and you sell your EVs, right, the last thing we want is like, whoo, man, that was tough. Man, God love you, thank God, good luck, have fun, see you. Who's my next customer, right? Who's my next up? We don't do that, do we? What do I do to help him with his potential home charging questions and needs? What do we do? Where do we send him?
Set up the app.
Set up the app is always great. You want to make sure the app, definitely take care of the app. The app is going to be so much more crucial now to a BEV owner than it was for the ICE owner. It's great for both, but even more so for the BEV owner. What about on our website? Where can we go? Delivery. What about, you ever been to the BZ page? You scroll down.
Charge point link.
Yeah, there's a charge point link which talks about the fact we've got their link embedded on our app, which is great. We also have a relationship with another charge company, which is
EVgo.
EVgo. What's that relationship? How long?
You're free.
Free for how long?
You're
1 hour. There you go. Free for 1 hour. That's free for 1 hour. 1 year, you got to get 1 hour and take care of it now. So we know that another thing we can do is if you go to the BZ page, it gives you information on how to calculate time to charge, how to calculate cost to charge, how to find incentives, how to find charging stations, and this company up here. We all heard of this company? Qmerit. Is this a Toyota company?
No.
No, this is a totally separate third-party company, but they've established themselves as a reputable one-stop shop for home advisement of your energy needs, and they work with all the major manufacturers. So what they will do is they will actually come to your home, assess if you've got to upgrade your infrastructure. They will put you in contact with third-party electricians to find out, what your needs are. They will have the thing installed, and best of all, they become your customer service as well, which is great. Now, if I wanted to go to my friend Joe down the street, could I do that? Yeah? Would it be the smartest thing to do? Probably not, right? Because these guys are experts, and also they're prepared for the growth of electrification. Who here has heard of V2L, V2G, V2H? Anybody heard of that? You're going to want to know about this because in the future what's going to happen is there will be adapters that we will be able to plug in to the external port of our car where we charge it, and it will then be able to allow you to plug into that and draw energy from your battery to charge things like another vehicle, albeit at a trickle charge, to provide backup service for your home for a couple days for blackouts, to put your power back to the grid to get discounts from participating companies. There's a lot going on there, and that requires you to have a bi-directional charger at your house to take advantage of that, which is why I say prepare for the future. Be with a company who can help you with your future needs. Not Joe, who knows where he's going to be in 2 weeks, right? Yeah, let alone the time he leaves your house and puts this thing in there, right? My customer service lasts as long as you can, see my butt go through the door. So go through a reputable company. All right, we did level 1, level 2. How about, here we go, level 3. Trick question, AC or DC?
DC.
There we go, that one we're sounding right. DC fast charging, absolutely. Now on DC fast charging, look at our power now. We went from 120 volt to 240 volt, now we're talking 400 volts to 900 volts. Now let me just clarify that for you. A lot of companies right now are strictly on the 400 volt cap DC fast charging. There are a handful of companies who've already leapfrogged to the 800 volt DC fast charging, which is going to give you faster charging, but I just wanted to give you kind of the window of where things are going. Some companies have transitioned, the rest will finally catch up. Look at your power, right? We talked about 7.7 kilowatts for level 2. Check this out, 50 kilowatts, 150 kilowatts, 250 kilowatts, 350 kilowatts. That's a lot of power, which means you're going to get a lot faster charging. Where do I find this kind of power?
Station?
Stations only. You're not going to find this in a house, and if your neighbor has this, move. Because this is dangerous, right? It's a lot of money to install as well, so it's going to be third-party stations. So now if we're talking about this, let's say I want to use level 3 charging, and I go to a station. How long is that going to take to go from low light to, say, 80%?
2 hours.
2 hours? Sorry? I heard it.
1 hour.
30 to 35 minutes. Yeah, I mean, think of that power. That is fast. So obviously we see the big convenience. It's very fast. The other side is you can't do it at home. And this is probably going to cost you 3 times or more as much on the road, like 48 cents per kilowatt hour. It gets pricey. Now again, let me bring you back to that little 150 kilowatts. Right? We're back to that same story. Why did I put 150 up there? That's the cap. That's the cap that the car can take. Okay, so it's 150 kilowatts. Fantastic. Thank you for telling me that, sir. I'm going to go out and drive. I'm driving down the road. I've got to get a charge. Oh, my goodness, I can't stop there. It says it's a 250 kilowatt station. There's a 350. I can't stop there. Is that going to complicate my life? I can stop at all those stations. Your vehicle has onboard management that will step that charge down to the maximum accepted rate. So make sure our customers know that. Otherwise, they think like, oh, my gosh, that means I have fewer stations I can go to. Our system cannot bump up the voltage, but it can bring it down to match what the car can take down and accept. That's all taken care of. So it will self-preserve itself. All right, so I've been talking about how long it takes to charge the vehicle. On level 1, level 2, I said, tell me low light to 100%, but on level 3, I said low light to 80%. Let's start with low light. What does low light mean?
Trickle charge.
Trickle charge? We're referring to the battery itself, the state of charge of the battery.
20%.
Usually it means like 20%, 15%, somewhere in there, exactly. And why do we say that? Why don't we say, you know what, 0% to 100%? Why wouldn't I recommend that to you?
You don't want to drain it out.
And why is that, sir? What would it do to your battery?
The battery.
Very bad for your battery.
Deteriorates.
Very unhealthy for your battery. We need to get our mindset on track to the new technology. Years ago, what did we do? We'd wait till our phone got to 1%, and then we'd charge it back up to 100 because that's how you'd fully cycle a phone to get the best use out of it. Otherwise, it had a half-life. If I only charged it to 80% and then rebooted it, I would lose life of my own batteries. It was kind of crazy technology. People still think that way. On these batteries for the cars, 20% to 80% is your golden period right there. Recommend to your consumers 20 to 80. They are not going to lose a function of the battery. They're going to keep it healthier and allow their battery to actually last longer because it loves being between 20 and 80%. So never let it go down to zero. Always say low light, or as you said, about 20% is a good time to get your vehicle, rebooted. If you go beyond that because you're on the freeway, it's okay. We're just trying to give you a parameter with which to stick. Now, what about the other side? I said it was okay to go to 100% on level 1, level 2, but now I'm saying level 3, don't go past 80. Why is that?
It heats up too much.
Because of the what? The voltage. Look at the voltage, right? 400 volts plus, it's going to get really warm. The longer it's plugged in, that heat starts to build up. I mean, if anybody has ever grabbed a wire at home, it's been on for a while, it gets warm. So the onboard management system is going to bring that thermal energy down to make it safe for the vehicle to continue to operate. Now, you could stay at that charger and continue to go to 100%, but it's going to be a trickle charge. It'll take you just as long to get to 100% as it took you to get to 80%. So protocol, to be polite to all your fellow drivers at charging stations, go to 80% and move on. If you start charging past 80%, they know you're a rookie, and you're gonna get in the fisticuffs. If you're in Boston, New York, you're done. It's over, right? So 80%, move on. That's the way to be. Here's another way to look at it. So look at here. You've got your state of charge across the x-axis. You've got your input charge along the y-axis. Look how it has that slow climb on the input charge. You don't get to your maximum input charge until you get to about 20% of your battery pack. Once it's at 20%, the battery's feeling good and healthy, and it can take on the fastest charge. And you can see it's pretty darn steady across the top there, it plateaus. Then at about 80%, you see it start to wane down again, and it slows down to protect itself. I always like to say it's like your stomach. When you're at the low end and you haven't eaten for a while, you're not too happy. If you've overeaten, you're not too happy. But right in between, we're all pretty happy for a while, right? It's pretty good. Or another way I like to explain it is, if you go to a movie theater, as the seat starts to fill up, it's getting harder to find a seat, isn't it? If you're one of the last people to show up, you can't find a seat at all. That's what that last 20% is. It's like trying to find that seat. It takes a long time. Same thing with your battery. Stay between 20% and 80%, and you'll have a better experience overall for the battery. All right, now I keep talking. Come on, quick here. There we go. Here's the 3 levels here. Let's compare them. Level 1, level 2, level 3, or as I like to call them, days, hours, minutes, okay? Because that's the big disparity there. Now, whenever we talk about those charge times, those are impressive, but you all know we at Toyota, we are a conservative company for good reason. A lot of companies make big boasts out there and have nothing but complaints come back. We want to set you up by under-promising and over-delivering, and this is one of the ways we do it. Tell them that these are estimates. Your experience might be different. It's like looking in your side mirrors, right? The image you see in the mirror may be closer than it appears. Same thing here. There are things that impact charging. So what are some of the things that will impact your charge times as you've got the vehicle plugged into the wall? Weather, cold or hot weather, that's a good one. What else? Sorry? And yeah, as far as what your access port is, like if you plug into a house and it's got 10 amps versus 15 amps, big difference there, isn't there? It's going to be different. If I go to charging stations, many different levels available there. We talked about temperatures, extreme temperatures. The battery's chemistry cannot operate in extreme temperatures, so it slows way down. If you're going to be plugging your vehicle in somewhere in cold weather, I hope that you're inside, because if you plug your vehicle in the charge overnight and it's outside exposed to the brutal temperatures, when you get up the next day, you're going to be very poorly surprised that your charge is not where you expected it to be, because it virtually became a trickle charge, even if you're on level 2. Make sure you've got a nice, comfortable temperature. Don't park in the sun in places like that beat your battery up. Keep it in a nice, controlled area. Sometimes, the way the battery works is if it's really cold and the battery has some energy in it, what is it going to do? It's going to be parasitic on its own energy, and it's going to use that energy to warm itself up because it wants to get to a comfortable level where it can take on a faster charge. So it's using its own energy, and you've got to replace that too, so it takes longer. State of charge. If you're at 20% and I'm at 80%, I'm going to finish charging off faster than you are. It makes sense. Charging also is not linear. Just because the station says it has so many wattage on it, doesn't mean you're getting that constant charge the entire time. It goes up and down. Anybody ever charge an EV? If you look at the charging meter, you'll see it. Like it drops. Now it's 135. Now it's 200. It goes all over the place. So that's the reason. Also, for level 3 chargers, who here has ever been at a gas station and you're pumping gas, you're getting all kinds of pressure out of your gas station. All of a sudden, a bunch of other people show up. It takes longer because the pressure drops. It's now feeding more pumps. It's the same thing with electricity. Those big charge banks, they actually feed X number of chargers at that charging station. And if all those chargers are full, it now has to share that charge it has available to more drivers, which means your charge rate is going to drop down. if the equipment's not in good shape, if the grid's down, so many things. All I'm trying to say here is make sure a customer is aware of the fact that that is normal. Just like an ICE vehicle, there are things that impact MPG, there are things that impact charging. Don't think that something's wrong with your vehicle. There's probably a reason for it because of the properties of the battery overall. Make sense? Now, people are getting let me get through this here. People are getting very concerned because they're like, oh my God, Angelo, I've got all these costs to think about. I mean, the price of a BEV, let's admit, they're high. Even with credits and rebates, they're high. And then you've got, my God, I got to update the infrastructure in my house. I got to put a charger in. Costs are racking up. We know that there are more upfront costs with BEVs, but there are also more potential savings down the road. One immediate saving is that we now give you a dual voltage charging cable in all of our vehicles. What does that mean? That means I can plug in at what? Level 1 and level 2 right at your house. So if you don't want to put a charging station in, technically you don't have to. As long as your infrastructure is up to grade, you could use this level 1, level 2 dual voltage charging cable, charging at your house, not buying the extra equipment. And then when you're on the road, you also have access to other people's garages and so forth. So it's an initial savings and it's very convenient. We're one of the first companies to do that. It will become standard across the board pretty soon down the road. But it's nice to know you've got that capability. And between 80 and 90% of all our charging, where does it happen? At home. It's the most convenient place to do it, but it's also the most affordable because once you start going on the road, that cost goes up real fast. So when you can charge at home, charge at home. The last thing we're going to talk about here is this. Everybody wants to know, Angelo, when are we getting access to the Tesla connectors, right? Everybody's been asking that. Well, the storyline right now is that many people are going out thinking, I'm going to beat the system. I'm going to go to the internet. Oh, it's on Amazon. It says right here, it works in a Tesla station. They're buying these third-party connectors. Please tell your consumers, do not do that. They are not warranted. Tesla will not warranty it. Our manufacturers will not warranty any damage to your motor or your batteries. So don't do that. You can buy a level 2 adapter. Don't buy a level 3. Wait for the certified adapter approved by Tesla that has the stamp and all the software approval on it. So when is this going to happen? Our customers will start getting confirmation from corporate probably sometime in May. They'll be communicated to say, hey, listen, these adapters are soon going to be made available. Here's how it's going to happen. You have to go to your dealership and pick them up. There's a process. Make sure you look at your emails. And then by July or so, we expect to have those in the hands of consumers and access to the Tesla network. Now, that's our time frame. Can that change? Of course. So always be a little bit hesitant. Don't say firmly, yes, it's going to happen in July. That's the goal right now. That is for your BZ4X 23, 24, and 25. Then when the 26 BZ comes out, guess what port it's going to have? It's going to have the NACS port, which stands for? What country do we live in?
North America.
North America? North America charging system, right, or charging standard, however you want to say it. That's the new technology. That's what Tesla came up with because there was no standard, so they came up with their own because remember back in the day when Tesla first came out, Tesla paid for the charging. So they didn't want other companies using it. It was solely for Tesla. Now they've got millions of dollars from the government to open up their network, expand it, and let every non-Tesla owner be able to charge there. So every company now is vying for these adapters, and they're all going to the same companies to get it. That's why it's kind of taken time to work this out to make sure we do it right. But eventually, we'll be able to charge both ways. Make sense? Any questions? Okay, perfect. What I want to do is give you time to actually get your hands in some of these adapters. So Pan has a display here. On his left is the NACS charger with the NACS to CCS adapter. And then on the right side, we've got the CCS charging cable with the CCS to NACS adapter. I want you to get your hands on these because first time through, it might be a little wonky. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a call from a customer saying, I've got this adapter, I'm at a charging station, it won't work, I can't figure it out. Know how these things work. There are special release buttons to make it very easy. Understand how it works. The one tip I will give you is that they say that when you get these adapters, the safest way to do it is put the adapter on the charging cable first, then plug it into your car. Safest way to do it, all right? Make sense? We've got some good, helpful cards for you. We're going to hand these out to you, but then we want you to hang tight because we're going to roll right into our last session as the rest of the group joins us. But please take some time up here. Get familiar with these cables here. So Pan will kind of walk you through it.
So this is the adapter that will be given to existing 23, 24, and 25 model year BZ owners, and this will enable them to charge at Tesla charging stations. This will be available for pickup at dealerships as part of a customer support program. The timeline for that is still TBD though. So once the customer's existing BZ owners receive these adapters, they'll be able to carry this in their vehicle and pull up to a Tesla charging station and plug in just like that. It's important to note that there's a trigger that allows them to push the plug in. Just make sure that's clear. The trigger is located on the bottom. And then it's the same thing to remove it. Now for 26 and up, the native port is going to be the Tesla port. So they won't need a adapter to pull up to a Tesla charging station. They will need an adapter to pull up to a CCS charging station, particularly a level 3. This adapter will come standard with the 26 model year and up vehicles, and what it'll allow them to do is plug this CCS plug, pretend it's a level 3, it's a level 2, just like that, very easy. And then this goes into the vehicle. And to unhitch it, you just pull the trigger and pull it off. If you guys have any other questions, we are happy to answer, but feel free to get a feel for it yourself.
One thing I want to tell you all as well, when you get these adapters, they are only good at level 3 stations. It says it right in the box. So you, like for example, you know how Sopan just showed you, like this is a level 2 actually charging cable, but pretend it's a level 3. If you go with your adapter and you try to plug in a level 2 to it, it's not going to work. It only works with level 3 charging. If you wanted to be able to charge at those level 2 stations as well, you would have to get a separate adapter from Amazon and potentially from dealerships when they start selling them. So just keep that in mind, level 3 only. It says it on the box, so we're covered. All right, please play around, have some fun for a few minutes. Cards? We gave them up. Yep. And then hang tight, we've got one quick needs assessment session. We'll wrap it all up, we'll get you on your way. Appreciate your patience.
No, it locks.
Yeah, that's a good question, though, too, because there are some brands out there where it doesn't lock, and potentially people can lock it. Now, yeah, the ones we have right now, people they lock it.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
I remember that. Ray's doing
yeah,
this.
it is. Like when I would It's like, you don't want to, you wouldn't want to pull out the nozzle of the gas tank while it's still running, right? But you're right. On some brands, they can't walk away, because some of them just come up and steal it. Why they don't all lock by automatically doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. They're a little bulky, right?
Someone took my seat. Oh, really?
Sí, viene.
Is this both groups? All right. You guys want to take a seat? We're going to roll right through it. So I know you want to get on your way. Put a couple more hours in at the office before the end of the day, right? What do you think, Johnny? All right. You enjoyed your day so far? I hope you've enjoyed a variety of things. We try to hit you on a number of different levels to keep your brains working, but we also realize that a lot of this is like drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of information. The point is, it's not the first time or the last time you're going to hear this. The more you hear it, the more comfortable you become, and that's what it's all about. And then it all comes together for needs assessment, which is important. I know you do it every single day of the week. You get it. It's like, a normal process for all of you. But we also know that for it to be effective, we have to modify our current strategy to include electrified vehicles, because I think we'd all agree there is a lot more to talk about, a lot more information we have to get from our guests. So we've got a lot of vehicles we can offer our guests, so let's kind of walk through these together. Come on, here we go. Hybrids. Who here would have no problem driving a hybrid? Should be almost everybody, right? Because nowadays everyone accepts it. Years ago when the Prius came out, people were like, I don't know. Now it's like, oh yeah, we get it now, Toyota. Great efficiency, right? You got your power split device, you've got your MG1, your MG2, you've got your battery pack, all about efficiency. But I have somebody still come up to me and go, Angelo, I'm kind of embarrassed because what do you mean like hybrid? What makes it a hybrid? That's electric. Yeah, exactly. Dual sources of power, 2 or more sources. In our case, we're using electricity and gas. Simple enough. Okay, I get that, Angelo, but now you answer me a question here. I know it's efficient, so I'm just kind of curious, like how efficient it is. How far can I drive on that electric motor only before my gas engine kicks in on your base like Prius hybrid? How far? Can we give them a distance? 500 miles? That would be awesome. 500 miles on the motor only? Not the range. I'm talking motor only before the engine kicks in. Range-wise, yes.
47?
I'm sorry?
47?
27 what?
47.
47 miles? We're talking just the base hybrid, not the plug-in hybrid yet. Okay. We really can't answer the question, can we? Range, EV range on a hybrid is not the question we want to talk about. We want to talk about efficiency overall. Look at your fuel economy. That's what the hybrid story is, because on a regular base hybrid, not plug-in hybrid, but a base hybrid, honestly, once you get to 15 or 20 miles, that engine's coming on. It can't support faster speeds. That's not to say that at higher speeds, there are intermittent times where your motor will kick on and kick off, but in general purposes, 15 to 20 miles, the engine's coming on. The motors just aren't built to carry you beyond that. But it's great efficiency. What about a plug-in hybrid? Who would have a plug-in hybrid? No problem. Yeah, there we go. Okay, come on now. There we go. So a plug-in hybrid basically takes all the efficiency from a hybrid, correct? And it adds performance. We've got bigger motors. We've got a bigger battery pack. As a result, we have to charge it. But right away, I'm going to come in thinking I know more than you guys do. I've been driving a hybrid for 5 miles, 5 years. I've never had to plug mine in. Why would I want to go to a plug-in hybrid? You guys trying to pull something over on me?
That's the whole.
What's the trade-off? Why would I do it?
Maybe full electric or
Yeah, you actually get an EV range, don't you?
Yeah.
You can, like you were saying, like low to mid 40s, right? In decent weather, not cold weather. Well, yeah, you actually get an EV range because you've got a bigger battery pack, and therefore you have to charge it. So for some people, they basically have an EV all week long. Then on the weekends, you still have great fuel economy because it's hybrid technology. Really good operation. Now it does come with price, right? So you have to pay for it and decide, is it worth it for this person? I've met a few people, and they think they've got us all beat. Like, man, I know more than Toyota does. I talked to a guy who had a plug-in hybrid. He's like, Angelo, I hear what you're saying, but you know what? I've never plugged mine in. Take that. Never had to. I'm like, well, good for you, sir. Why don't you plug it in? Well, I don't have to. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Like, well, why don't you spend $5,000 more on this vehicle? Because you can actually get better fuel economy in a hybrid and spend about $5,000 less. Why spend more money and not take advantage of it? Well, the rims didn't come on the hybrid version. They only came in the plug-in hybrid, so I bought those. I'm like, that's the most expensive set of rims I've ever seen in my life, right? But they need to make sure that they understand what the benefit is because it's not that difficult to plug in at home. And it's only a small battery, so overall it's not going to take long to charge that thing. But it's kind of funny. People should know about that. But great. How about a BEV? Who here would own a BEV? Couple of hands? You own one now? Awesome. A lot. Was it a BZ or?
Oh, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Who else? Smaller numbers, and you know what? That's okay. It's not for everybody. We're not trying to tell everybody you have to buy a BEV. All we want to make sure is that people realize what the benefits are. Yes, there's range anxiety, there's charge anxiety. The infrastructure's not where it's supposed to be, but it's getting better. You've got 1 or 2 motors, you've got a big battery pack, so of course you have to charge it, and you get an amazing range. But is it for everybody? Not really. So what's a better way to look at this? We've got this great diagram up here. If it will cooperate with me, oh my goodness, there we go. It just takes a few times. This is a Venn diagram. I know. Got some math lovers in the world? Venn diagrams? Oh my God, let's start talking algebra. Now, it's a Venn diagram. What do they show us?
Different groups and where they intersect.
Exactly. So the intersection shows commonality amongst different features. Our features happen to be our 3 powertrains. How many people raised their hand more than once when I asked you those questions about vehicles you got? A lot of us, right? Well, a lot of our customers are as well. In a perfect world, we'd sell them 2 vehicles, we'd all be happy. But we can't do that, can we? We have to make sure we find out what the best vehicle is and move into those outskirts of the Venn diagram to find the best vehicle and what gets us there. Of course, a really good needs assessment. But now we've got some more challenges because rather than just going to the right vehicle, we have another step in there. We have to get to the right powertrain first, which requires education, before we get to the actual vehicle. And if we don't do that, what's the downside? If I get you in the wrong powertrain, I send you off with an EV, and you're like, no level 2 in my house, no charging stations in my neighborhood, you're not going to come back very happy, are you? Right? We don't want that. We don't want buyer's remorse. It's already happened. There were people that came out and they were buying the EVs because they heard they were so cool, because there's a company out there, starts with a T, ends with an A, we know what I'm talking about, right? They did a phenomenal job, didn't they, about bringing excitement to the EV industry? They really did. But that's all they did was make it exciting. And as the rest of us were waiting for our brands to come out with their EVs, we're like, oh man, we can't wait, chomping at the bit. I can't wait for mine to come out because I am going to race that guy. He's going to see how good our vehicles are. I'm like, that's what an EV is to you? It's a rocket ship. It's a sports car. Wow, you have a lot to learn. People were so excited they were going to dealerships, buying the EVs, putting cash down. 2 weeks later, going, why didn't you tell me? I had no idea. I had to charge it, and how to charge it, and where to charge it. It wasn't a bad vehicle. It was the wrong vehicle for them. So now, before you put your sales hats on, you better wear a second one first, called your educator's hat. You have to teach consumers what the nuances are about these different powertrains, because there are some people who think they know how they work, and they don't. And there are some people who have misconceptions that are wrong, and we need to educate them on it. So we have to be the experts. And I promise you that when you do that, you're going to build more credibility, and you're going to make more sales and make happier customers overall. So how do we get there? As we said, a great needs assessment. We know that the goals of a needs assessment are to sell a car. We get that. But that doesn't happen in 5 seconds. It'd be nice if it did. They walk in, thank you, what's your name, what do you drive, where do you live? Here you go, here are the keys, go. No, we have a lot of questions to ask. What goals are we trying to accomplish between now and actually selling the vehicle? What does our needs assessment do for us?
Figuring out perfectly how it suits the customer.
Right, like the lifestyle, their needs. What's happening between us? What are we trying to do?
Reporting.
Yeah, build a relationship, right? Building trust. And hopefully we're personalizing the experience. We cannot be, this is the way to say it, like consumer prejudice or consumer racist, not sure what the right word is, but we can't assume that you're all going to have the same needs. We better have a good needs assessment that really gets to particulars because we are all different as far as what we want, where we live, and so forth. And a needs assessment is going to get us there. I like trust because to me, if I've got your trust, I want to make sure that when you walk out the door with the car, you are feeling confident you made the right choice for you. Not for me, but for you. And it's going to build more credibility for me, and we're going to have a better relationship moving forward. Now, we know what kind of questions we have to ask, but we also know that there are key categories that if we pull questions from key sorry, I skipped all over this, sorry about this. This is just a little analogy saying, going to a doctor and getting him passing you out prescriptions before asking you what your symptoms are, not a good thing. Right? A prescription without a diagnosis is really bad for you, and it could be bad for the doctor. Same thing with our customers. Let's get to know our customers before we prescribe them basically a car. Sorry about that, skip over there. But now, we've got great questions we can ask. Get there, this is holding up my rhythm. Come on now. I'm sorry, everybody. This will catch up with me eventually. The point is this. When we ask questions, we can ask all kinds of questions under the sun, can't we? But if we pull questions from key categories, we are going to get better information. And those categories are motivation, experience, and lifestyle. Those three areas are going to get us the best information. Let's start with motivation. Without using motivation in its own definition, what does motivation mean to you?
What would it be to buy a car?
Yeah, what are they excited about? What is their drive to buy a car? What's their inspiration for that car? Or I like this, the big why. Why are they buying this vehicle? That's what motivation is. How about experience? Without using the word experience.
So far what they need based on their experience. A SUV, sedan for commute,
Okay.
family, feelings.
Sure.
Feelings.
Feelings, what's their research? What's their knowledge level? We always talk about like, let's meet them where they are. What do we mean by that? Let's meet them where they are.
Maybe if they've had a hybrid or an EV in the past.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, you were saying that.
And like, if they're somewhere in their research, just grab their hand and help them finalize and finish it.
Right, so if I talk to a couple different people and I find out that somebody's never owned an EV and somebody's owned an EV for 5 years, if I start talking about level 1 charging to you, you're going to go, dude, I get it, let's move forward. This person here might take some more education because he's never driven one. So we want to start our conversation where it needs to be. Let's make sure we don't waste time going over information that they're already aware of. So meet them where they are and move forward. How about lifestyle? What are we talking lifestyle? That's right. Either commute, their family, how they use the car, their hobbies, their habits, right, their living situation, all these things that can dramatically impact their comfort level owning an electrified vehicle. So we've got these great questions. We know what kind of questions to ask. Now the next thing is, how do we ask the questions, right? There are many layers to this. What do you think about this question here? Agree or not? You agree?
Of course.
Okay, why do you agree?
Because it leads to another question.
What he is in mind.
Yes, so
Therefore, we give information.
creates dialogue, right? Now, what kind of question is this, just out of curiosity?
Open-ended, like, it will ask them something and it gives you more.
Exactly, it gives you more. And like you said, this is closed-ended, and why is it closed-ended? Yes or no, or maybe. Now, are all closed-ended questions bad? No, because sometimes you just want that one piece of information, and a closed-ended gets you right to the answer. But in general, open-ended questions are going to get us much more gold overall to help us get to the needs of our customer, right? If I come to you and I just say, you know what, would you ever consider owning an EV? Yes, no, or maybe, right? This tells me not, doesn't tell me why he doesn't want one. But what if I said to you, we've got a great portfolio of vehicles. I'd be curious, like, what your concerns might be about owning an EV, or better yet, what your expectations might be out of buying an EV. Now I know what side of the fence he's on, and I know where I can go. If he's against it, I can kind of talk about some of the advantages. If he's for it, awesome. But I want to make sure he truly understands, you know, that what he believes is true in the EV. We'll have a conversation, we'll educate, we can do a good needs assessment. That's why it's so important. Who should do all the talking? Just like deliveries, right? They do all the touching, they do all the talking, same thing. Just remember now that we're in electrified vehicles, you better have like subsets of questions. If I asked you all the same question, I know some questions, answers would be similar, but I'm bound to get different answers. I better have different follow-up questions for each of those responses, because we can't treat you all as one person. You're all unique. So be prepared. Don't just keep asking the same questions over and over and over and expecting some of those to stick and work. We have to modify our needs assessment to make sure we're broadening it for the electrified customer. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to work together. You're going to help me out here. Tickets are up for grabs here. Think about this. This is motivation. I want someone to help me create an open-ended question, without using the word motivation, that gets to why the customer came in today to buy a car. Give me an open-ended question that draws upon their motivation.
How
Yes,
do
sir?
we use this vehicle?
How do you use this vehicle? Okay, that's a great question. Now let's think about the category. Would that be more lifestyle or motivation?
Lifestyle.
Now here's the